Welcome to Stories Without Borders, the podcast. I'm your host, Holland. Here we interview people who use the power of stories in service to promote connection, empathy, and understanding around the world. You can learn more online at storieswithoutborders.org or follow us on Instagram and YouTube at stories_without-borders. Thanks for listening. Here's today's episode. Today, we are speaking with Cindy Pon. Cindy is the author of Silver Phoenix, which was named one of the top 10 fantasy and science fiction books for youth by Booklist, and one of 2009's best fantasy, science fiction, and horror by Voya. Her follow-up novels in the same universe, Serpentine and Sacrifice, were both Junior Library Guild selections and received starred reviews from the School Library Journal and Kirkus Reviews, respectively. She also wrote Want, a Freeman Book Award honorable mention, and its sequel Ruse. She is the co-founder of Diversity in YA with Melinda Lowe. Cindy has been a student of Chinese brush painting for almost 2 decades and has now delved into learning how to paint in oils. She loves to travel, lift, and hunt for cute shinies on Pokemon Go. So welcome, Cindy. I'm so excited to have you on this podcast.
I'm so happy to finally be here. Thank you, Holland.
Of course. I'd love to start off with talking about your author origin story. So specifically, what made you decide / want to be a writer?
I think I have a little bit of a different background in that I came to the United States from Taiwan when I was 6 years old.
Right.
And I was ESL in the 80s. And I have a very distinct memory of going in mid-year. It was March, first grade, and I didn't know the alphabet. I only knew my name was Cindy, and I didn't even know how to write it. And so I remember the teacher writing my name up on the board, and it was just such a struggle because at 6, it's that time where you're learning to communicate, and it was basically all taken away from me.
Right.
Like I went into a world where nobody could understand me. And so I was pulled with other little immigrant kids. I remember in like an hour, I don't know if it was every day, but it was to learn English.
Right.
And my mom teaching me the colors and how to spell it out. And I remember practicing. And then all of a sudden in 3rd grade, I could read. And it was just like a jump between, I don't remember 2nd grade, but when I was able to read and then the scholastic book orders came and I would choose books, it felt like literal magic because I went from like nothing to all of a sudden the world opened up for me. And I realized that a lot of that informs my storytelling because I always write the underdog. I always write the person that's kind of on the outside or straddling worlds, literally, and so I don't realize that until I'm books in and I'm like, oh, this is what is my origin story. That affected me enough that, now I sound like a Cali girl, like I'm on the phone and people are like, oh, you're blonde. And you're like, they can't tell. But that is, I always remember being on the outside for not, So I think that informs a lot of my storytelling.
And so it was really just that moment for you was just, oh my gosh, stories. I can read stories.
Yes. And writers are always readers.
Right.
So, So if you love to read, then a lot of times you're like, can I tell my own story? Like, what if I start? Then there's always this stuff in your head, like imagination and just making stuff up. So
Yeah, I always describe writing as sort of an outlet for ideas that you have, especially if you're a reader, you have to get these ideas on the page because it's, all these other authors do it. Why can't I do it?
Definitely.
And I'm curious, you mentioned that you only knew your name was Cindy. Did your parents give you that English name?
Yeah, my mom gave it to me. I even asked her, I'm not a Cynthia, I'm just a Cindy. So I said, how did you pick that name? And she just picked it. And
she just picked it?
She liked it. And I don't even know why. And so that's who I am.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was it based on like your Chinese name? Or?
No, not at all. My Chinese name is my middle name.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, what is your Chinese name?
It's Wei Jie.
Wei Jie, that's such a pretty name.
Thank you.
Awesome. I'd love to delve into the Kingdom of Xiao, which is your first fantasy and also debut universe that you published a debut novel in. You've created this universe full of rich culture. This is the first book that I really saw Asian characters thrive, and it just felt like, oh, this is not an Asian character in the Western world. This is an Asian character in an Asian world. And obviously there's room for both, but it was just so incredible to see. It has such interesting mythology, history, traditions. What were some of the challenges when you were coming up with this world, creating this world, and what were some things that you learned along the way?
Silver Phoenix was my first novel that I wrote in my 30s. And as I told you, it was a good 20 years ago that I started researching and writing. And I just kind of did it for fun. And when I actually finished the novel, I was like, oh, why don't I just try and get it published? And it wasn't until it did publish that I realized that I was basically writing for my younger self because I'm such a fantasy reader.
Yeah.
And I didn't know until then when I saw my cover that I'd never read a fantasy novel with anybody that looked like me in
Right.
any of the stories that I read. And I was a prolific reader. And so it was kind of, I guess, maybe a healing thing. Like you do so many things on a subconscious level, especially when it's your first novel, that with a lens that you look back and you're like, oh, this is what I was trying to do. I was writing for young Cindy. And so it was hard because at that time I had never been to China. So I was just like, I want to do Chinese inspired. And there was just a lot of research that went in with it.
Right.
And I didn't know how to write a novel. I wrote the first 50 pages and I kept revising the first 50 pages over and over again because I've written short stories.
I feel like we've all been caught in that trap.
That was my comfort. And I was like, well, let me just revise. Let me revise. And I said, what? And then I thought, oh, I have 200 more pages to write. What am I going to do? It was just very daunting. And I had young kids at the time. And so I kind of just struggled through it. And after I was done, I was proud. It's not
as you should be.
Oh, thank you. It's not like amazing, but and then I looked around and when I try to sell it, they're like, there's nothing. When you go to a publisher, they always want to compare because they're like, when they try to pitch to sales, they're like, this is the equivalent of our Hunger Games plus this. And my editor that acquired it, she said, there are no comps. We could not find anything except for this maybe adult thing, but nothing in young adult. And at that time, all of the Asian-inspired fantasies were written by white authors. And so the lens was very much, I feel like a lot of times, especially when white men write, it's very exotified.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so just because it was my lens, I wasn't doing that. And so it kind of became what drove me to write more Asian-inspired fantasy because I was one of 5 doing it in young adult.
We've sort of talked about this, but how did you approach writing Silver Phoenix and Serpentine in terms of the chronology and was there like a specific timeline or order that you chose to write them in?
No, I'm a very intuitive writer. I'm very organic. I would say I'm a pantser. I don't plan things out very much. And I tend to write because when Silver Phoenix came out, they're like, oh, well, that's a cliffhanger. And you obviously did that because you want to write another book. And no, like every one of these duologies, I consider standalone. Yeah, Want could be standalone. Serpentine could be standalone. Yeah. And so it's very much a matter of I'll finish it and then my editor will be like, is there more? And then I'll think about it and I'll be like, oh yeah, there is more, but it's never more than a duology because I feel like for a trilogy, you really do have to plan it out. You can't kind of bumble your way through. Then the readers will be like, this is a mess. Yeah. This doesn't work. And so naturally I kind of write in duologies.
Yeah, I noticed that because all 3 of your published series, they're all duologies. And I was just like, oh, is this just sort of what you gravitate
It's just
to?
what I do. Yeah, I'll do the first book in a very close kind of first person perspective. And then the second book will be the consequences of the first book. And in order to tell the second story, I almost always have to open up to multiple POV. When you're starting out, there's a lot of rules about writing and new writers want to know the rules.
Right.
But for me as a writer, it's what serves a story. And I'll break the rules, like, don't do this, don't do that. But if it serves a story and it is doing what I need it to do, and if you do it well, that's the thing. If you do it well and you do it with the conviction that you are as a storyteller, it'll work. Because if you believe it, then the reader will believe it. That's what matters. So that kind of is, now that I'm so many duologies in, I realize that that's kind of what I do.
Would you ever return to the kingdom of Xia?
Never say never.
Right.
For sure. Yeah. So I don't know. I tried to, this new novel that I just finished that's being pitched right now, I tried to return and I couldn't. And so but you never know because, writers, they grow and they might outgrow a world or they might outgrow something. And now I have, like I said, when I was writing it, it was very much like, I want to do this for me, but I want to do it for readers that might look like me, but at the same time, just for fantasy lovers. And then by the time that I was returning to write another fantasy novel, there were so many up and coming other Asian American writers in writing Asian inspired. Like I was literally, and then all of a sudden there was like a whole wave, and many of them are like, I read you, Cindy Pon, and I knew it was possible. And that really blows up my world because when I was doing it, it was very solitary and it felt very alone. And it was very much my first novel. They're like, you failed. And yeah, so it was like, you failed and you can't write any more Asian fantasy. So it was kind of, it is kind of brutal. You don't get to come back, as a writer of color. Like they make it a lot, like if you fail the one time, whereas, white stories that fail, they'll keep trying, so they're like, obviously it's because it's Chinese inspired but it came out in 2009 when the economy tanked.
Right.
And so it was a lot of other things going on at the same time. So, yeah. And they also didn't market it. So that helps. I mean, that helps in why it didn't, do very well.
Yeah. I mean, Silver Phoenix was the first. I think
it was the first.
It was the first Asian American fantasy novel. I think, and even
in young adult. Yeah.
To be published by like a major publishing house. And I'm sitting here thinking, why haven't I heard of this before? Why didn't 9-year-old me know about this? And it just
yeah. It's hard to be a trailblazer because you're setting the path and you have to show that it can actually be published. Then people were using me as a comp. They'd be like, oh, it was Silver Phoenix combined with something else. And so it doesn't seem as risky. If you're the first, it seems risky. And then they were also trying to I had librarians that were like, well, we don't have students of that population and then I thought, I love Asian American readers that find me, but I was reading white fantasy. Like a fantasy reader is a fantasy reader.
Exactly.
Like, so that was what you kind of niche it yourself. And then if the publishers niche it or the librarians or any of the gatekeepers, the booksellers, if they niche it and they're like, we're in the middle of Idaho and nobody's going to buy Asian fantasy, then I get hurt as an author. So it's challenging in very many ways.
I feel like if you're only reading books that reflect yourself, I feel like you do grow, but you're also not.
I love reading other cultures and other.
Me too.
Yeah, you learn so much because you're in their shoes.
Yeah,
and then it's just. I love it so much.
Obviously you can never fully understand the experience, but it's really good to get that perspective and see, I had a really impactful English teacher and she's told me you either read through a mirror or you're reading as a window.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's important to have
both. Yeah.
Because if you're only reading through a window, you might feel isolated. You might feel, I don't feel like I'm properly reflected on the page and this makes you feel alone. Nobody understands my experience. But then if you only read through a mirror, you don't grow.
Yeah.
And I feel
100%,
like 100%. Yeah. And sometimes you need to break the glass. You just be like, knock, knock, I'm making my own window.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been a journey. So I've loved it. It's been a challenge, but I loved it.
Now, why don't we dive into your sci-fi duology, Want? This duology is set in a completely different world than the Kingdom of Xia. It's a near-future dystopia set in Taipei and Taiwan. And basically, the premise of the book is the air pollution is so bad, and just pollution in general is so bad that the wealthy have constructed these spacesuits that provide filtered air and they just breathe and then everybody else is just suffering.
Yeah.
How is it different? And we've sort of talked about how is it different? How is it similar if it was similar in certain aspects? And what did you learn?
Oh, wow. It's so different in every way. And Want came out of a short story that I had published in Diverse Energies. And that was in 2011 in response to dystopia being the trend in young adult.
Right.
With the Hunger Games and then Divergent. There was a lot of dystopia and, dystopia is like future and future being problematic or whatever, but the future was very white. Okay. And so the Diverse Energies was in response where we had, storytellers writing other perspectives and other, people of color. And I just made it up and I just thought, let me set it in Taipei and let me write from a teen boy's, POV, which I never would have even tried if it was a novel. Like, I would have been too intimidated because my voice is fantasy girl.
Right.
Which is the language is like more languid and more, lush. And I can fall into that so easily.
Yeah,
And
100%.
that POV and boy. And I was like, oh my gosh, a boy. But then I'm like, 5,000 words. That's fine. I can do 5,000 words. So I wrote the first chapter, the kidnapping, is my short story. And so it was when they were like, no more fantasy from you because you can't write. The market says that you're not selling Asian fantasy. We want something completely different from you, Cindy Pon. We like you, but it has to be completely different. So I was like, what about this science fiction novel full of Asian people? It won't be a fantasy full of Asian people, but let me do this sci-fi. So that's what I did instead.
Yeah.
And then I thought, they fascinated me. That kidnapping, I was just thinking, why did he do this? And who is this girl? Like, I just loved both of them so much that I was brave enough. I said, you want something different? This is going to be something different. And it was so challenging in every way. And as a writer, I like to challenge myself with every new project. But this was just so hard for me. And I would go away. I think I was doing, I don't know, but I was coming back and forth between projects, and I would come back to Want, and I have a critique group that I've used since my debut, 2009, which means I send them pages, they read it, they give me feedback, and I step away from Want for a bit, and their feedback would be, Joe sounds like a middle-aged woman again. And then I'd be like, crap, because I like Joe. I was like, you're a hottie. You're a hashtag cute Asian boy. I've been writing that since before Asian boys were popular, right? And so I wanted him to be cute. I wanted him to be a hero that girls liked, And so he can't sound like a middle-aged lady. And so voice, I had to keep struggling with voice. I had to think about language. The language is completely different.
Right.
It's modern. I had to think about slang.
Mm-hmm.
Because any kind of usage of tech and slang it took me so long to write. I was already back. Near future was already current times.
Right.
That I couldn't keep up. And so it was challenging in all the ways, but I was so proud of it. And it was so fulfilling, especially because Taipei was a character in itself.
Right.
And it was my love story to Taipei. And I had readers that were like, I never even knew about Taipei. And it seems like kind of like rough there, but it's so cool. I want to visit, And so that like made me so happy. And it was the first YA set in Taipei published. So back in
awesome.
Yeah, 2017. So I was so proud. Yeah.
I want to go back to the bit where you were talking about diction and slang. And I mean, I did notice a lot of that in Want. For example, the use of may, which means not having, is used to describe people who don't have spacesuits and who don't have the ability to purchase these expensive suits. And then yo is the people that can. And so as slang becomes, more ingrained in the culture, it becomes just may means poor and yo means rich.
Yeah. No, the Chinese love playing with language, right? And so for the Mandarin, that worked for sure. But the backstory to that is that it used to be yao and yo.
Oh.
And so yao is to want. And so that stayed as my title and yo. But my editor, when he read it, he was like, I could keep up with it. But he was like, the fact that they both start with Y.
Oh.
And it's 3 letters and it's in a different language. He was just like, I'm afraid that, English readers are going to get it confused. And that's why I changed it. And that was the only reason. So Yao, they were supposed to be a group of people that were called Yao. But I got to keep the title. And I love the title. So, yeah.
Now I'm wondering, what would English readers think if it was just Yao, the title? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
They would never let you do that.
No, they'd be like, what is this?
Yeah.
So I think something that Want did really well, Want and Ruse, it was able to blend the already existing culture of Taipei, this future Taipei, Taipei that doesn't exist yet, and with the already existing Taipei. And so what were some of the challenges you faced when you were trying to integrate it? Because obviously you do want to stay and keep the that
Yeah.
is familiar to readers, but you also do want to be like, hey, we're not in present time, we're in future time. There's going to be differences.
So I think it was kind of a trick, really, on my part as an author. When I don't know if you know Holly Black.
Yes.
She's a good friend of mine, and she has been a mentor almost through most of my books since Serpentine. And I love her. I love her books. If you haven't read her, she's amazing. And when I had talked about Want before it was even in existence, she was like, "Oh, well, I would call that a near future thriller." She's like, "Really, it's a cyberpunk, Cindy, but they don't know what cyberpunk is anymore." I was like, "Okay, whatever Holly says goes." And then so she was like, "Oh, well, it's going to be heist, so you need a squad and you need a cast of characters and everybody brings something to the table." So this was my first talk when I was at a writing group. And so I thought about all of these things, and really it was, I call it near future thriller, but so many of the headlines, especially since it took me at least 5 years to write it, they were current news. So what I was doing was saying, this is our world. Let me throw in some flying cars just to trick you. But what I'm trying to tell you is this could be us really fast, right? And so I'm not political. I don't try to be didactic. Like, I don't think that that's how it just is what went into the story. Like, you can see what I worry about and what I think about. And so that was in the story itself. And I love the juxtaposition because that's exactly what you think about when you go to Taiwan, of the old juxtaposed with the new, the temples with the neon lights, like the traditions of the old world, and then we're still in the future. And it's all there. Like, it's not, I was just doing like, and then I was saying, oh, there were no Apple Watches and they were talking to their wrists. And I was like, oh no, they have this. And then they were talking to their homes and then the home stuff. And I was like, I can't keep up. Everything was, I was writing, I said it was a future, but I was writing actually into the contemporary times. And so, yeah. So I say it's near future, but it was really kind of a warning. Yeah, it was kind of a warning, especially with the pandemic. It really underscored the division of wealth even more. So yeah, it all kind of is present time for me.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I feel like there is a genre of dystopian where it's like near future, this could happen really, really soon if we're not careful. And I feel like Want definitely falls into that category. And you said something about when Holly Black gave you feedback and she said, oh, you need to have a group of friends at the table. Like these characters, Jason, Lingy, Aaron, they were all so fun. And again, they brought their own elements to the table. Lingy was the leader. Jason was sort of like the heartthrob. And they were almost like each other's families in
Definitely,
a lot of
it was
ways.
found family.
Yeah, it was 100% found family. And which of the characters came to you first? Was it Jason? And also, how did you develop the other characters?
It was definitely Dai and Jason, because of the kidnapping story. So then I had to think about the story and what kind of team I needed to serve the story. So it was very deliberate. And then I thought about just creating more of a multicultural but also Asian cast. And so I just had a lot of fun. Because I don't plan the story, my first draft is really the outline. And then so the characters tell me their story, and then I finish and I'm like, oh, then I know them and what they're trying to say. And that's when I go back and I'll revise like at least 2 to 3 times to deepen the storyline. But I'm more plotty. So I feel like the interactions and the relationships are what I need to layer in more. I feel like readers are really drawn to, characters. They're very invested in characters.
Oh, 100%.
And so that's what I work on more. But yeah, I fall in love with them like the reader falls in love. I get to know them like the reader gets to know them. After the first draft, I'm like, oh, now I see who you are. And Jason was actually very interesting in that I didn't know where he was in the group. He was obviously, I made him a hero because it was his POV, but I was trying so many different things. I remember at one point, Melinda Lowe, also read her. She's amazing. She's like my author BFF. She was like, well, maybe he's a leader. What if he's a leader? Then he's important, right? If you're the leader and everybody listens to you. And I kind of wrote that for a hot second. And it just didn't feel right. And then I realized that he was a dispensable one. He was the one that could be gone and everybody else that's what he felt he was.
Right.
That's why in the kidnapping, he was like, I'm going to do it because if I'm arrested and I'm taken away forever, everybody else has somebody. Everybody else
Mhm.
has a loved one or a family or a connection. I can be gone. So I felt like it was very interesting to have the hero be the one that was like, nobody
Yeah.
needs me, right? Like, I can take the risks.
Right.
I'm going to be rash and it'll be fine, right? And so that's why when we did lose a character, he
Right.
felt really bad about it. And that's why Ruse was all about everybody getting past, trying to grieve in their own way. So sorry, that's like a spoiler.
It's okay.
Okay,
Spoiler alert.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that
So
makes sense because you say you write through the perspective of the underdog usually.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
he is
So
the
that's who I was
underdog in
drawn
his own
to.
way.
Yeah, yeah.
So who is the most challenging character to develop, would you say?
I feel like I struggled with him the most because
Right.
I was trying to write through him, so I wanted to make him interesting and relatable and also sound authentic, his
Right.
voice. And so I had to really always immerse myself. Whereas I didn't have to think as much with my other girl characters.
Right.
I was just, fall into it. But him, I had to really be like, okay, channel, cute Asian boy. Talk like cute Asian boy, like, yeah, because, so he was definitely the most challenging. Yeah.
Why is it important for you to tell this specific story? And I mean, we've talked about this,
Yeah.
but I feel like just want to give you space to really just address the why.
Well, I mean, for me, the story kind of surprised me and what I wanted to say, but I just want, it was a lot about resistance.
Mhm.
And this came out in 2017.
Right.
So it's kind of wild that it's even more like it's just as important now. And I'll say that my form of resistance is through my storytelling. I am not like, I definitely see what's going on in our country right now that is
Mhm.
not great, but I'm not the type to be holding signs and be on the streets. That's just
Right.
not how I am. But me existing as a storyteller, as a woman of color, as somebody who wants to
Right.
talk about Taiwan, that is my resistance, And so I just want the readers and hopefully young readers to know that you can, you know, just by your voice, sometimes just by existing is your resistance because
Yeah.
sometimes things get hard and you might be struggling with something that nobody else knows about or you're too scared to talk about. Whatever it is, there's quiet resistance too. And just that you can change things. I just want it doesn't have to be explosions because obviously this is all very exciting, like because it's storytelling, it's a novel.
Right.
But it's about fighting. It's about finding your group, finding support, finding love, finding yourself, and still being able to fight for what you feel is true, and what is good, and fighting for your voice. And so, yeah, that was like the story I wanted to tell. And also because, again, my love story for Taipei, I just was so happy to be able to publish something that I didn't think that I would ever do that, because I was a fantasy girly. So, like, fantasy is, removed. And so there's many things to be happy about for this novel. Yeah. To have be in existence.
Definitely. And one of the other things to be super happy about for this novel is that the rights are getting purchased.
I know.
It's so
it's very exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And if it ever does become a movie or a screenplay or a TV show, what changes do you think there would be? What do you think would stay the same and what do you think would be different?
I mean, hopefully it's in Taipei.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
And hopefully it's an all Asian cast.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that those things stay the same. I think like talking to my scriptwriter, Eric, it's science fiction and fantasy. All of those genres are expensive. So I just wonder about budget and what is doable in this day and age.
Right.
Like maybe there'll be like less kind of flashy things. But for me, that doesn't matter as much to me as the point of they're fighting for something that they believe in and that it's an all Asian cast and that it's in, set in the city that I wrote the story for. Yeah.
That's amazing. And again, it would be such a good movie or even TV shows because when I was reading it, I thought I can so vividly see the characters and I feel like it's really those books that translate the best.
Yeah, I'm very visual.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that translates super well into your writing as well.
And Taipei is just
Taipei
a
is
feast for the eyes, for all the senses.
For all the senses. Eyes, ears, nose,
everything.
Especially the mouth, too.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah.
Another reason why I'm obsessed with Want and Ruse especially is because I spend a lot of my summers in Taipei with my mom and my younger brother, and I get to explore all the night markets and go visit all the beautiful sites and temples. And so just seeing another character and seeing Taipei on the page, which is something which I'm very shocked has not happened more often. I mean, there was Love Boat Taipei, Abigail King Wen's book, and then there's Want, and then that's honestly really it. That's really what I've seen. But it was just so incredible just to be able to see such a beautiful and incredible city just on the page and for more readers to discover, because I think more people need to know about it. And as we've discussed before, Want and Ruse, a big theme is environmentalism in a dystopian society. And I wanted to let you know that this duology actually inspired Stories That Border's second service project, which is a collaboration with a foster home in Taipei called Hua Xing Children's Home. And it was actually founded by Chiang Kai-shek's wife. And so a lot of the kids they serve, they come from very difficult backgrounds. We're going to be doing a bunch of activities with them. We're going to be hanging out with them. We're going to be teaching them piano, arts, and basic English. And we're also going to be doing an environmentally focused curriculum, which is what the idea for Want inspired. The idea,
awesome.
Because one thing that Taiwan does actually pretty well is they really do focus a lot on sorting the trash and recycling, and it's a very clean city. So I feel like it would be really fun to have like a conversation with the kids, like, why do you think this is important? Why do you think Taiwan puts so much emphasis on this? Honestly, just I think being there for the kids and letting them know, hey, there are people that care about you. There's people that want to spend time with you. I think that'll be really fun.
That's wonderful. That's amazing that you set that up.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for making the book that inspired this idea.
Oh, thank you.
Once again, I want to congratulate you on your upcoming novel. That's
thank
amazing.
you.
And I'm so excited to have a new piece of work by you, and I can't wait to read it. I know it's still super under wraps, but could you tell us a little bit about the novel?
Yeah, it's really under wraps. I took a long time to write it, 3 years, which is probably the longest I've spent on a novel. And this, again, is something different. Like I said, I was trying to return to The Kingdom of Sha, which would have been a companion novel to Serpentine.
Right.
I had a few false starts, and I talked to Holly again, and she gave me some ideas. Then I just thought, oh, maybe not. Maybe I'll just look into retelling a Chinese folklore or something like that and put my spin on it like I like to do. But I finally realized that it's because I kind of outgrew that world for now. Like it wasn't calling to me as much because there are so many other voices and stories that other Asian American authors are doing. I didn't feel so compelled that I needed to represent. So this story came out of, it was like a lightning strike. And so it is, again, young adult fantasy, which is what I love. Coming of age, first love, all of that I love.
Awesome.
And it's my first non-Chinese inspired. It starts in London, and then it moves to Mexico City.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and then the heroine is Chinese, and she is a contortionist in a magical circus.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that
so
seems like
it's
such
very
a fun
cool.
novel.
Yeah, it's very fun. Yeah, I'm very proud of it.
I'm really excited to read it, and again, congratulations.
Thank you.
What are some of your strategies when it comes to writer's block?
Oh, yeah, that's always hard. I feel like taking time away from actually writing.
Yeah.
So this novel that, like I said, I'm trying to sell, it's not, so nobody was waiting for it. It's not a contracted novel. It wasn't under deadline. Everything was on my own. And that gave me the space to dream and to take my time. It's nice to have a novel under contract, but then somebody's kind of like, hey, what's going on? Like you just feel like you don't have as much time to dream. And I like to dream and I like to just think about the story because I am intuitive. And I like to just take time to think, because when you're writing and you're immersed, you're almost always in the back of your mind thinking about the story. Like you're showering, you're thinking about the story. You're doing chores, you're thinking about the story. You're driving, you're thinking about the story. And so time away helps to kind of, just have things, because all authors will be like, and then all of a sudden, I knew the answer. But that takes time. And then also, just as a cheat, I will sometimes write non-chronologically.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'll skip it.
Right.
So I'll be like, I don't know what's going to happen between this and this scene, but I know that this scene is going to happen a little bit later.
Mhm.
So let me just go ahead and write this scene. And then it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle.
Right.
And not all of my novels were written in like linear form, but this one was, this current one. So whatever works for you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But time away and then also skipping it. So it's not such a thing like you're like, oh, I don't know. And then it kind of
Yeah.
becomes a thing, you know, and that you block yourself.
And I feel like a lot of people think that taking time away is counterproductive because it's,
No.
if I go further into the cave, I'll
No.
find the answer. But
Yeah.
sometimes taking
And sometimes
time away,
writing wrong.
right.
Because you'll write it and you're like, oh, this is really wrong. You're like, okay, no.
You just know that it's wrong.
Yeah, this isn't So
Yeah.
sometimes you have to write wrong to write right. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good quote.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal that. What is your world building process? Because you have these beautiful, intricate worlds. And so what is your strategy for creating worlds that feel real and detailed?
Again, I do a lot of research, but
Right.
as I said, I hadn't even gone to China by the point when I had written my debut novel.
Right.
So I just had, for Silver Phoenix, I had so many books, like reference, like giant coffee books of China and like, just so I can try and immerse myself. But for me, my world building is very sensory. So
Right.
I have adult fantasy, like Kate Elliott is a friend and also such a good writer, amazing, multiple plot lines, big cast of character. And her word building is like, what is the magic system? What is the political system? What religion is dominant? What is the topography? What is the geography? What is grown? Like she thinks like farming, like she thinks like the whole world. Whereas I'm just like in the head. That's why young adult tends to be first person or like very near third. So I'm just in their head and I want to feel what they feel. I want to see what they see. I put you know,
Yeah.
that's my world building is sensory. And that's why Taipei was so great because like you said, every sense, like I know when I land in Taipei, like I just smell it and I can feel it, you know, and I know that like I'm home, you know, and so
Agreed.
that's how I write. That's my world building. I just try to put you in their shoes more so than anything else.
Yeah, that feels like a very great strategy, especially because for a lot of visual writers, it's really hard
Yeah.
to just be like, oh my gosh, I have to write, but like I'm so into the sensory
Yeah.
details. But no, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be exclusive. You
Yeah.
can just,
I'm very visceral. Yeah.
and I mean, it sort of works out because I've seen writers that are, very talented, but the worlds they feel 2D. But sometimes
I
being
see.
more
You're not
immersed in the senses is just, it feels 3D. The author is immersed in this world.
Yeah.
The senses, because they come alive. Because
Yeah.
a big part of the world is the senses. Because if you don't have the senses, what do you really have? And as I've mentioned in the introduction, you're the co-founder of Diversity in YA with Melinda Lowe. And so why is diversity so important to you, especially in the world of literature and YA literature specifically?
Well, that's kind of like in rest now because,
Right.
again, something that we started in 2011 that, I think we carried it on for a good 8 years or so. And then I think at that time, it was, again, very much we didn't see a lot of representation, especially in young adult
Right.
and middle grade and children's stories that I feel like you really should have representation, especially given how diverse we are in the United States, and how interesting other cultures and other stories and other lens, POV, that it's important. It's part of us, so that's what we were kind of establishing. And at that time, there was a big tour going on, like made by authors themselves, because the Diversity and YA tour was just me and Melinda arranging it.
Yeah.
But a little bit, like a year or two before that, it was another book tour and it was all lead title. It was really all lead title authors and it was very homogenous. Let's just say they were going to all the cities and there was just not representation. And so I joked, I'm always joking. So I joked with Melinda. I was like, why don't we just do a diversity tour by ourselves? And so that's exactly what we did in 2011. And
That's amazing.
yeah. And now we still need it, but it's better. But
Mm-hmm.
it's, it's kind of, yeah, we still have work to do, but it's better.
What is the most difficult part of writing a character and developing them?
I feel like finding the voice
Oh.
and just knowing who they are. Like I said, a lot of times I don't know their motivations. I don't know, whatever their hurts and insecurities and everything until I get to the end of the story. And so I kind of have to tell their story to myself first.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a get to know kind of thing. Yeah.
What is your favorite genre to write in? Is it fantasy?
It is fantasy. It is fantasy. And even I tried contemporary for a hot second and I tried and I was like, when do the monsters come? Like, when does the magic happen? It's just, and the contemporary writers are like, how do you make all this weird stuff up? They're like, what is this? They can't imagine being fantasy writers. And yeah. And
I can't imagine just writing in the real world. That seems so.
It is.
How do you
feel,
just stay
but they're very good.
contained?
I read contemporary when I read it. I'm like, oh, this is really good.
Same.
But so that's just how I am. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I respect the contemporary writers. I could never do that. I always have to include some sort of fantastical element.
Oh, so you write too?
Yeah, I do. I'm a writer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. In all of your series, food plays a huge, huge role. And if to any listeners listening, do not read Cindy's books if you're hungry.
It's true.
Eat a dinner, eat a big dinner, and then read Cindy's books. And then you'll probably get hungry just eating it. Was that intentional? And why was it important for you to incorporate this?
It was not intentional. And so I feel like it's because, like I said, Taiwanese, like we like to eat. And so it was just obviously like, Western fantasy is like, here's stew.
Oh my gosh.
And a hunk of bread and a slice of cheese or whatever it is that they eat. And I'm like, well, I'm going to write my fantasy and they're going to have noodles and, dumplings. And why wouldn't, and so it's part of like I said, it's sensory and it's part of world building.
Right.
And the rituals and the cultures that are associated with food. Right. And so that just seemed natural. And I didn't realize because it was one of the first Asian fantasies in young adult that I was getting angry tweets at midnight going, Cindy Pon, I'm so hungry and it can't just be a toast. It has to be dumplings. It was so funny. So I'm like, maybe I need to put like a little warning label onto it. Like, don't, read it when you're hungry. Do not
read when
Cereal's not going to work.
No. What do you hope your audience takes away from all of your work?
I feel like I'm hopeful. That's just how I am. So I say want is dystopian, but it's not really dystopian. Right. Like I like to leave you with like a sense of hope that you can do something.
Yeah.
I want to leave readers with a love for story.
Yeah.
And just hope like that they can, if there's a challenge, that they can maybe rise to the challenge. That's what I like to leave readers with.
That's really beautiful.
Thank you.
And now we're going to go into the more fun section of the podcast, the lightning round questions. So basically the format for these is quick question, quick answer.
Okay, no wrong answer.
No wrong answer at all.
Right.
They're silly questions. They're not like, what is the meaning of life?
Okay, lightning round.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh my gosh, probably something by Madonna.
Oh, obviously. Madonna's great.
Yeah.
I think for me, I feel like my go-to karaoke song is right now anything Chapel Roan. Just because.
Oh, I love her. That's what I played coming. I wish I saw her in concert.
Oh my gosh, me too.
She's too popular now. She's probably taking a break, but yeah, next time her tickets are going to get so hard to try and get tickets for. So,
what movie could you watch over and over again?
I love probably A Princess Bride.
Ooh, Princess Bride's a good one.
Yeah, that's a to watch again.
Yeah, I think,
it's so old.
Yeah. How old is it? 20 years?
Oh my gosh, more than probably going on 40. Yeah, definitely 30.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
And that's fantasy, and it's fun. It has monsters and it's just sweet. So yeah. It's funny. Yeah.
I think for me, my parents and I always used to joke that I could watch Home Alone over and over again.
Is that your comfort show?
Kind of. I mean, right now I'm taking a little bit of a break because I have seen it so much that I can recite certain parts of the movie by memory.
And Macaulay's a grown man. That's how long it's been.
Yeah. And I think also right now I'm getting into a lot of stupid movies. So like UHF by Weird Al. I could watch that movie over
So
and
you
over
like
again.
to just like relax.
I
And
like
just
to
be
relax.
brainless.
Yeah.
And just like, yeah.
For me, the books is where I really stimulate the
I totally
intellect.
understand that.
But the
Yeah.
movies is just, oh, haha, it's just two guys in a top hat making weird sounds like, whoa.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Do you prefer coffee or tea?
Coffee. 100%. Yeah.
I don't know. Where's matcha? Is
Matcha's a tea.
Yeah, but I feel like it's in between. It's like that liminal space.
No.
No. It's tea.
It's tea.
Yeah,
No.
I like matcha. So I guess tea. I guess I can go with tea.
Yeah.
What was your dream job as a kid?
Oh, wow. I think writer and also teacher because I
Oh.
like to write on the board. But that was when there was chalk.
Now it's just
So now I definitely don't want to be a teacher because there's no, like, I loved writing because I would watch my teachers write and then I'd be like, and the UV rays. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And now there's no joy. There's no chalkboards.
I think for a long time I wanted to be an author, but there was also a phase in my life where I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah.
I had no.
Come to UCSD. Go to Scripps.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll check it out.
Mm-hmm. And you can be an author no matter what you're doing. That's the
Yeah.
good thing about being an author.
It's like marine biologist by day,
Yeah,
author by night.
100%.
Are you more of a morning person or a night
Oh my
owl?
gosh. I'm a night owl.
Really?
100%. Yeah, I'm usually up till 2. So, yeah, I don't like to get up before 10.
That's
So.
fair. I'm the complete opposite. I like being in bed by 9:30.
Oh my gosh.
And I like waking up at 6:30.
Oh my gosh. That's wild. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to get up early for my kids, and now
Oh.
they're both grown up enough that I don't have to wake up anymore. So I can go back to my night owl ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same vein. Do you like your mattresses firm or soft?
I think I like firm, but with a little padding.
Yeah.
Firm with padding. Yeah. Not squidgy. Squidgy, I don't want to sink into it. I like it to be, yeah.
Agreed. I think I like firm, but with a little bit of softness. So
Yes,
It's not
exactly.
like why am I on a plank of wood?
Yeah. They'll
but
put
it's-
like a little plushy pad, but
Yeah,
then the actual
exactly.
mattress itself is supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like my pillow soft and then my mattress slightly firmer. It's me.
Okay.
If there was a spider in your house, would you kill it or set it free?
I was setting it free for a long time until I got bit by a spider at home and I
Oh.
got staph or something. Like it swelled up
No.
to like the size of a
Oh
tennis
my,
ball.
Oh my god.
And then I was like, maybe I shouldn't save the spiders. But it depends because there's a daddy long leg.
right, the daddy long
So
legs
it
I
depends.
save.
If they're like kind of big and burly and I can see them from across the room, then I'm like, But then I also heard that if you put them out, that they die.
Yeah, apparently spiders are super territorial.
Yeah, so I don't know. So I don't know if I'm doing them any favors. It might be like you're like taking them and you're like throwing them into Africa or something. Like you're like in California and then you toss them and they're like, what's happening? Like maybe they're just like, so. But then after I got bit, I was like, maybe not.
I mean, I usually just say, oh, well, maybe they'll kill the other spider.
Yeah, it depends on how scary they look.
Yeah.
Daddy long legs, I'm not
No,
super.
yeah,
like
daddy
if they're
long
tiny
legs.
little ones, then yeah.
And also, apparently, even though daddy long legs are like the most poisonous spider, they can't actually bite you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but their teeth
Oh.
they can't
Oh,
penetrate the
okay.
human skin, so you're okay.
Oh, okay.
I usually set them free. I'm just like, fend for yourself, my little gladiator.
You do the whole cup thing.
Yeah, I do the
Yeah.
whole cup thing with the slice of the piece of paper,
Yeah,
and then I'll even
exactly.
go to the effort of going to the kitchen and getting it, and then when I come back, the spider's gone.
Yeah,
and
you're
it's
like,
just,
where do you go?
And I'm just like, you can have my house now. It's yours. What was your last Halloween costume?
Oh my gosh. I can't think of the last Halloween costume I had on, but I did dress up as Chun-Li for Comic-Con.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Do you know Chun-Li?
Chun-Li? Yeah, I think so.
yeah. From Street Fighter.
Yeah. I didn't know the video game she came from, but I
Yeah.
knew the character.
Okay.
I think my last Halloween costume was Little Red Riding Hood, but she
Fun.
killed the wolf. So it's like
Oh.
I put wolf fur on the cape.
Oh,
And then I had
wow.
like a hatchet.
Oh,
with-
wow.
that I put painted blood on.
So badass Little Red
Yeah,
Riding Hood.
badass
I
Little
like
Red Riding
it.
Hood. That's how I sold the costume. I was like, yeah, I'm Little Red Riding Hood, but badass.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. And what is a skill that you would really want to have?
A skill to not get lost?
Oh.
I'm so directionally
fair.
challenged. But now you don't understand. We didn't have the phones.
Right.
I literally drove on the 5 the wrong way for like, I don't know how long, like when I was your age. Like I got on the freeway and I went the wrong way for like who knows how long. And then I was like, oh, where am I? So yeah, now we do have like, at least we have GPS and stuff, but
Thank God.
I was so long. I don't know which, and yeah. And so interestingly enough, it comes across in my fantasy novels. Like one of my editors was like, would you like a map? And I was like, a map for what? I have no idea where my heroine is. I go right, I go left, like
backwards, forwards.
There's a blob of a land. Like that's why my, world building doesn't extend to like mountain ranges, and she just kind of wanders around lost like I do in real life. So yeah, it comes across in my fantasy stories.
I think for me, a skill that I would really like to have is dancing.
Oh,
Like I see all the K-pop
for the TikToks.
No, not the TikToks. I mean, like, I don't want.
Yeah, the K-pop
dance.
because they do so much of the group dancing.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be really fun to do. Also, hip hop would be super cool.
Yeah.
And also, just imagine just break dancing.
Oh, I could not dance either.
I would love to just do that. I don't know. My limbs just they don't cooperate with me when I try to dance.
Neither. I'm very uncoordinated. I can't even do aerobics. So yeah.
What is your favorite word?
I don't know. I like funny words, funny long words, like, like bamboozle or
I love bamboozled.
befuddled or gobsmacked or flabbergasted, like long words like that.
I think I do too. I love bamboozled. And I really like the word asinine. It sounds like you're saying a bad word, but it's the noun. It's not, yeah, it's like
you're getting away with it.
Yeah, it is because it means foolish or stupid, but it's not like, oh, you're such an asinine. That was such an asinine thing to do. It's more of like an adjective to describe something.
That is a good word.
Yeah. So that's mine. And then now the last question. What advice would you give to your younger self?
I think keep going. Yeah, that's it. Like enjoy the journey, keep going. And that's what I've always been trying to do.
That's awesome. I feel like that's great advice. I think it's so simple, but it's so easy to forget too.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I wanted to ask if there's a specific organization or cause that's near and dear to your heart.
That's a great question. And so We Need Diverse Books definitely is still going strong. And that kind of came they arrived on the scene, and that's why diversity and YA were like, oh man, you guys are doing great work. And it's huge. Like they do internships for people to be in publishing, it's not just about publishing and having more diversity, but you need a diverse background in all of the people that are choosing the books.
Right.
Editors, booksellers,
100%.
librarians, all of that. So they do so much grants. So that I would say, and they run fundraisers at least once a year. So
That's
they
incredible.
do incredible work. Yeah.
Well, everybody go check out We Need Diverse Books.
Yes,
it sounds like
definitely.
an incredible organization.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on to this podcast, Cindy. I had a blast talking to you.
Yes, we laughed a lot.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Holland. I
course.
can't wait to see this.
Yes. Thanks for listening to Stories Without Borders, the podcast. Please rate and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. You can learn more online at storieswithoutborders.org or follow us on Instagram at stories_withoutborders. See you all next time.